In the last video, I told you that the way we define mass is by this really round object that is stored somewhere, I think in France. And it tells us how much 1 kilogram is. But I also said that I weigh about 155 pounds. Well, how do we get from kilograms to pounds? That is unit conversion. These days, you can easily convert units using Google to go from one unit to the next. But I'm going to teach you how those conversions are made, which is important for a lot of the calculations and math that we do. And please note that when you guys are tested on this, you won't be able to use Google or computers in order to find the answers. So let's learn how to do it just with our brains. The first thing is we need to know how fractions function when we multiply them. Here, let's take a look at number 1. I see shapes, and I see circle is multiplied by a fraction of square divided by circle times triangle divided by square equals triangle. Now, even though these are shapes, these fractions are just like the fractions that you've seen in math class. It could be 1 over 2. It could be 2 over 4. These fractions can also represent units. So it could be 1 kilogram over 2 pounds. It could be 1 centimeter over 2 inches. So both numbers and units can go on the top and bottom of fractions, just like these shapes. But let's take a look at these shapes. What we notice is when we multiply something by a fraction, if something is in the top and in the bottom, they tend to cancel out. The reason why that is because basically you're dividing, they equal 1. If something is on top and on the bottom, even though they're kind of separate here, they can all be sort of squished together. You can imagine circle on top here. You can imagine triangle on top here. It doesn't really matter where they are because their order doesn't matter when it's multiplication. And when something is on the top and on the bottom, they equal 1. So 2 over 2 equals 1, circle over circle equals 1. If it's the same thing on the top and the bottom, it equals 1. And when I multiply something by 1, it doesn't change it. 2 times 1 equals 2. That's why when something equals 1, we can just get rid of it and take it out of the equation. Here I see square and square on the top and bottom. They cancel out. So all I'm left with is triangle. That's why this whole equation equals triangle. Let's take a look at number 2. Here we see that the octagon here, or the stop sign, cancel out here and here. And it doesn't matter that they're in different positions. One is on top and the other is on the bottom, so they still cancel out. Here, star and star cancel out. So all I have is heart on top, lightning bolt on bottom. So my final answer is heart on top and lightning bolt on bottom. And we can combine them. Again, if something is on top and on bottom, they cancel out. Let's take a look down here. What do you think belongs in this question mark? Take a look. Well, I see this shape and this shape will cancel out. I also see this shape and this shape will cancel out. And so what I will have left is circle. What about in the next question? Well, I have square and square canceling out. I want to know what goes here. And I know that this and this need to cancel out to leave smiley face. So this is going to be my donut hole. Donuts. As Homer Simpson would like to say. When we do this type of canceling out, the same things happen with units. Let me show you what I mean. First, here is a conversion table, which I will make available on Schoology, and give to you. You can use this on all exams. I'm going to print this out and give it to you next time we see each other in class. And in this conversion table, it shows us two equal quantities. This is saying 100 centimeters is equal to 1 meter. This is saying 1,000 meters is equal to 1 kilometer or kilometer. This is saying 1 kilogram is equal to 2.2 pounds. This is miles and kilometer. This is miles and feet. This is yards and feet. And this is inches and feet. And these all show equalities. So if I have 1 meter, this is the same thing as 100 centimeters. If I have 1 kg, if I were to weigh this, this would be equal also to 2.2 pounds. We use these conversions, these equalities, in order to convert units. Let me give you an example. Let's say I had something like 126 centimeters, and I wanted to know how many meters this is. That was a wacky M. Well, here's how we do it. We start with the number that we're given, which is 126 centimeters. Now, in order to get to meters, I need to multiply by something. And when I multiply that by that something, centimeters is going to cancel out, and I want to get to meters. So in order to do that, I'm going to have meters on top and centimeters on the bottom. Now remember, just like the shapes that we saw, units can go on the top and go on the bottom. But what do we multiply this by? We multiply this by this equality right here because they're equal. 1 meter is equal to 100 centimeters. Why can I do that? Well, because these are equal, 1 meter and 100 centimeters, it's kind of like multiplying by 1. Because remember, if something is equal on the top and the bottom, it's like multiplying by 1. And if I multiply by 1, it doesn't change my answer. So I'm not changing my number. I'm not changing the answer. I'm not changing the quantity. I'm just changing the units. Now that I see that cm is on top and on the bottom, it cancels out and my final unit is m. But how do I put this into the calculator? Well, I do 126 times 1 divided by 100. And I will see that that is 1.26 meters. Let's do another example. Let's say I wanted to convert 1,247 meters, and I wanted to know how many kilometers is that? Well, remember, you're always going to start with your given. So I'm going to start with 1,247 meters. And I'm going to multiply it. And I know meters is going to go on the bottom and kilometers is going to go on the top. So that I can cancel out meters. And I just need to put two things here that are equal. This is known as our conversion. So I look at my conversion table and I see 1,000 meters is equal to 1 kilometer. And if I were to put this into the calculator, it would be 1,247 times 1 divided by 1,000. So that's 1.247 kilometers. Again, I did 1,247 times 1 divided by 1,000. Now, that's pretty much it. Let's do one more example, and then I'm going to show you how to round these numbers. But let's do one more example first. Let's say, let me see if I can. Let's say I wanted to convert 26.75 miles, and I want this in kilometer, and I want to round to 2 decimal places. Well, let's do the first part, and then I'll show you the second part. Remember, I'm going to start with my given. My given is 26.75 miles. I'm going to multiply it by something in order to get it to kilometers. I want to cancel out miles, so miles is going to go on the bottom. Kilometers is going to go on top. And what can I put here? Well, I look at my conversion table. And I know that 1 mile is equal to 1.6 kilometers. Miles is going to cancel out, and my final unit will be kilometers. How do I put this into the calculator? It's 26.75 times 1.6. I could then do divided by 1, but that won't change the answer, as you will see. If I put this into the calculator, I get 42.8. Now, it says it's round to 2 decimal places. I don't need to do that here because it's not more than 2 decimal places. Let's do another example where you do have to round to 2 decimal places. Let's say I have 26.755 yards. And I want to convert this to feet. Well, I have 26.755 yards, and I'm going to multiply it by something, and yards is going to go on top, and feet is going to go on, yards will go on the bottom, feet will go on top. For every 1 yard, that's equal to 3 feet. I'm multiplying it by 3. And I get 26.55 times 3. That's 80.265 feet. Now let's say I asked you to round this to 2 decimal places. Well, this has 3 decimal places. And like I said before, that tells us how much precision there is. But maybe we want to just keep 2 decimal places because we don't have that much precision actually. How would I round this? Well, this is what I do to round a decimal. I'm only going to keep 2 decimal places, which are these 2 numbers right here. I look at this number to see whether or not to round up or down. If it's 1 through 4, I round down. If it's 5 through 9, I round up. So 1 through 4, you go to the floor. 5 through 9, you go high, really fine. No, I'm just kidding. It should be above 5, you go high. 1 through 4, you go to the floor. Above 5, you go high. So this is 5 or above. And so I have to go high. 5, I'm going to round up high. So this number is going to go up by 1. And I'm going to round this to 80.27. Why is this? Well, let's say I have 80.260, 80.261, 80.262, all the way to 80.269, and then 80.270. 80.265 is right in the middle. I round up and I go to the nearest number, which is 80.270, but I'm not going to report this number because it's just 2 decimal places. So it's 80.27. That's equal to 80.270. These two numbers are the same, but these 3 decimal places show that I have more precision. So they're equal, but I'm only going to write this number because it asked me to round to 2 decimal places. Let's do another example. Let's say, for example, let me see if I can, perfect. Let's say I had, let me see here, 70.265 pounds, and I wanted to round it to kilograms, and I wanted to round to 2 decimal places. I start with my given, 70.265 pounds. I multiply. What's going to go on the bottom? It'll be pounds, and I'm going towards kilogram. What do I multiply it by? I use my conversion factor. So 1 kilogram is equal to 2.2 pounds. When I put this into the calculator, I'm going to input 70.265 times 1 and divide it by 2.2. Because I multiply the tops and I divide by the bottom. Now, you may know that multiplying by 1 is not going to change my answer, but I'm going to do that anyways, just to show you. 70.265 times 1 is 70.265. Then I divide by 2.2. That gives me 31.9386. Now that's kilogram, because pounds got canceled out. But I'm asked to round to 2 decimal places. So I'm going to look at this number right here. It's above 5, or 5 or above, I go high. Because it is 5 or above, I'm going to round up. So this number is going to go up. So it's 31.94 kilograms. And that's 2 decimal places. Let's say my number was 31.93. Let's go with 31.931. And I want to round this to 2 decimal places. Let's just say 1/6. Well, 2 decimal places is right here. I look at this number to see whether or not I round up or down. It's below 4, so I go to the floor. I'm going to round down. And because it's 1, I round down. And when I round down, I can just drop that number. I can just cancel this out and just drop it. Why? Because 31.93, after that is 30. So let's say I have 31.93. What's after that? It's 31.931 and then 31.932. If I drop this and I'm rounding down to this number. Let's say I had something like 31.930 and I'm rounding to 2 decimal places. Because it's 0, I would round down and it still goes to 31.93. If it were 31.929, because of this number, I would still round down. It doesn't matter what these numbers are, it just matters what this number is. If I had 31.939, what do you think I would round that to? Let's say it's 939. This will cause me to round up, so I will round this to 31.94. So that's basically how you do conversions and how you round. Let me show you one more thing before you practice on your own. Some conversions that you see will be two-step conversions. Let's take a look at this one. It says convert 1.2 miles. How many centimeters is this? Well, I'm going to start with my given. That's 1.2 miles, and I'm trying to get to centimeters. When you see something like this, well, I don't have a conversion directly from miles to centimeters. So I need to go through two steps. And in fact, I'm going to go from miles to kilometer, and then from kilometer to meter. So I'm going to go from mile to kilometer. Once I get it into kilometer, I'm going to go to meter, and then I'm going to go from meter to centimeter. It's actually 3 steps. Let me show you what this looks like. Let's say I have 1.2 miles. Again, in order to get to cm, I need to get to km, which is metric, first. So I'm going to multiply it by something. I'm going to put miles on the bottom so I can cancel it out. Km will go on top. And I see, based on my conversion table, that 1 mile equals 1.6 kilometers. I'm not going to use this figure right here. I'm only going to use my conversion table. Only use your conversion table, or you may get an answer wrong. And so, if I do 1.2 miles and I multiply this, it's going to get me to kilometers. And I could stop there, but before, I need to keep going. I can't really stop there. I'm going to put kilometers on the bottom, and then I'm going to go to meters. And I know that if I were to look at my conversion table, I would see for every 1 kilometer is 1,000 meters. Am I done yet? Not quite. I need to do one more step where I put meters on the bottom and go to centimeters on top. And I know for every 1 meter, I have 100 centimeters. How would I put this into the calculator? Well, I multiply the tops and I divide by the bottoms. So in my calculator, I put 1.2 times 1.6 times 1,000 times 100 divided by 1, doesn't change my answer, divided by 1, and then divided by 1. Notice how I had to do each of these divisions individually. Divided by 1, and then divided by 1. It gives me 192,000 centimeters. Notice that there's no decimal places. This is what's called a whole number. And I probably don't need to do any more rounding. This is my final answer. I'm going to leave it there for now. You should practice on the homeworks, practices that are on Schoology. And there's a lot of practice. We'll practice in class, and then you'll eventually take a quiz. Make sure that you learn this. Good luck.